Welcome to That Sober Guy podcast. I'm Shane Raymer. It's good to be with you today. Thanks for tuning in. Today's guest is Matt Farnsworth, and Matt is a keynote speaker. He's a best-selling author. He's an award-winning filmmaker, and he's got a crazy story. After being sober for 11 years, he relapsed. He got in a horrible car crash. He flatlined for 3 minutes. He broke his neck. Just absolutely insane. He rebuilt from a rehab floor room. And since then, he's coached over 500 men in business and leadership. His book, The Comeback Blueprint, hit #1 in 4 categories. He's also been featured on Tucker Carlson, Fox News, Al Jazeera, Entrepreneur, and Market Watch. And he's been sober since 2014. So Matt, it's great to have you on the podcast today. We've been trying to get this set up for a while now, and I'm super pumped to have you, man. Thank you.
Great to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show. I mentioned your story. We're gonna dive right into that. So you were sober for 11 years, man, and that is a success story. 11 years is awesome, and then you relapsed. What happened?
Well, I got into a relationship, man, and I've been in it for about 11 years with this woman, and I married her, but it was we just didn't fit. We weren't right, and she was kind of like my replacement drug. So like in 2004, she got pregnant, and I started, I just had a codependency with her. You know how that is? It's like, okay, this is going to fill the void, right? But I was white knuckling that 11 years. Like we say, that's a success story, but I was miserable.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's tough too. I get that question a lot. Oh, what? So I'm just going to quit drinking. My life's going to be amazing. It's like, it can be, but man, there's so much more to it. There's so much more depth to that. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of growth involved. Shoot, I'm 12, 13 years in, and I'm learning something new every day.
Yeah, me too.
About whatever. Like I still don't, I have a lot of days I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know if you relate to that too, but.
Oh yeah. I wake up and I just thank God every day that I'm alive. That's like my biggest thing is like, I got to have humility. And so I just like, what happened is she had an affair at about 11 years in, 10 and a half, with this Canadian roofer dude. It was weird. It was like an online affair.
Dude,
didn't see it coming.
Sorry.
I know. It was like, really? A Canadian roofer who happens to be a Satanist, which was just the weirdest thing.
Serious?
I'm serious.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was nuts. And I got blindsided by this. And, I'd say about like 3 years before that, I quit paying attention to people, places, and things altogether. And then about a year before it happened, I moved into Belmont Short. Have you ever been to like Orange County?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Okay. So like Long Beach is right there. And you got Belmont Shore, which is like 2nd Avenue's this strip of just restaurants and bars.
Yeah. And
Sharky's is there. There's all this entertainment. And I moved like a block from the main street. And so I'm smelling the beer, all this stimulus is happening, and I'm in active relapse without even drinking. Yeah. And so when she had the affair, I just immediately ran to booze.
That was like the first thing. It's like, screw it. I'm done. Like, let's just escape from this. Let's just escape from this place, 'cause this sucks.
Yeah. I wasn't really man enough to go, hey, I got to be the man for my kids. I got to tell her that's it. This is over, and move forward with my life and figure it out. No, I said, actually, I look back on it and I say, my addiction reared its ugly head. Those demons returned. And I liked the fact that I realized I liked the fact that she had an affair, because I didn't really love her. Yeah, man. It gave me an excuse to go back and drink again. It was like, I can be a full blown alcoholic, and I have this, badge, this card I can pull and say, well, my wife had an affair.
Yeah. Well, you said that the relapse happened even before you took the first drink. Can you talk a little bit about that? 'Cause I think a lot of guys do struggle with that, or they think about it. Maybe they don't know about it even. What's your thoughts on that?
I believe that you start to rationalize the fact that you have, like for me, I was getting older. I was almost 40. And so I would say to myself, man, I haven't had a drink in a long time, and I'm older now. Yeah. So maybe because I'm older, I'm more mature and I can handle it. So you start thinking these things, and these are not true, but your brain tells you that.
I've had those thoughts. I've talked about it on the show before. I think I think it's normal to have them. And I think what's worse is to not admit them and not talk about them. So I've always said, like, yeah, I have had those days where I'm like, hey, I'm 45 now. Like, I got my shit
Hmm.
together. I'm doing well. I haven't drank in a long time. I could probably manage a beer or something, you know? I don't want to act on that. That's a different story. But like, I do have those thoughts and I don't want to ever find out what that's like. I don't want to go back there, you know? But
Well, I know what I'm like when I'm drinking,
yeah,
and it only leads to two places, and that's either, prison, or it's going to be jail. It's going to be, well, prison or death. Those are the two
yeah,
options pretty much that I have. And I know that, and I have to continue to tell myself that, because the brain that got you, into the addiction is not the same brain that's going to get you out. And if you start drifting back toward that brain, you're going to be in big trouble. It's that stinking thinking that we talk about, or you hear in AA, and it happens. And you got to be really careful. You got to be vigilant, and you have to have discipline to
yeah,
fight that. And it's the only disease that, if we call it a disease, I think it's more of a spiritual malady now that I've been
yeah,
sober for 13 years. But I also believe that it's the thing that tells you you don't have it. It's like this constant nagging that tells you you don't really have a problem.
yeah. You're good. You're good. Like,
You're
that's
good.
not, can we dive into that a little bit? The disease thing? I'm interested. It's something I've kicked around quite a bit. I don't know if you've ever read any Stanton Peele's work.
No.
He's under the guise of, it's not a disease. It is more of a personal responsibility and a choice. And there's a lot of different elements to that. But I do struggle with that. I hear that a lot. My disease, this, my disease, that. Um, I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know that I have the right, I know I don't have the perfect right answer for it, but what are your thoughts on it, on it being a disease?
Well, let's see. When I flipped that car and I died, for 3 minutes, I was taken to a different place. I end up making a decision to come back. And I'm glad that I did, because I certainly didn't want to meet judgment at that point.
Mm,
I wasn't a good guy. And I didn't know about spirituality, didn't know about
yeah.
God, didn't understand any of it. Like, I was just like, okay, what are Christians? What is God? Like, what is this stuff? Oh, they're just really nice people that if they do good things, they get into heaven, right? I mean, that's what it works. That's how it is. So
Yeah.
that's to me, that's what it is. And, I'd seen evangelicalism, and I'd seen what it looks like in America, and it's really just fog machines and skinny jeans. It's like
Sure.
concerts now.
Chelsea boots.
Yeah. And I couldn't get into that, because I just didn't believe that it was realistic. And so I ended up going to recovery. I didn't think I needed to, of course. I only flipped a car 6 times, busted your neck and you broke your wingtip vertebrae.
Dang.
Left the hospital on my own recognizance. They said, you're probably going to die. Uh, Shuffled out of the hospital with my gown on and my clothes I scooped up with my butt hanging out the back. I say this often. I went and bought booze, and I went to a hotel room. I tried to drink myself to death,
Right
you know,
after.
right after,
Wow.
man.
That's
Like
crazy,
busted
man.
neck, like neck brace, like in a cab, trying to get back to the hotel, like take me to the nearest liquor store,
Wow.
like the serious demonic addiction. I had been eating Coke out of the cup holder of the car when I got in the accident. I was just totally blacked out. I was in a different
Right.
place. And so, and I woke up, obviously, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
And so I looked at myself at that time and I just went, dude, you're a monster. Like, who are you,
Mm,
man? And I realized I didn't have an identity.
yeah.
I really
Yeah.
didn't know who I was. Like, I drank myself into oblivion. Like, who am I? I don't have a job now. I've got no income. I'm getting divorced. This woman had an affair. I'm not a father. This is
So
rough
totally
and so
numb. Numb.
numb.
Like numbed out to
Mhm. And so I had to go in this recovery, and I had to kind of figure it out. I'd be like, okay, who am I? And I think that's the great thing about recovery, is you're sitting around the room with a bunch of other people going, who the heck am I?
yeah. Oh yeah,
And
totally.
you're talking about it. And so I started talking about it a lot, and I realized the people that talked about it a lot and did the work kind of did better.
Yeah.
They seemed to recover a little bit better. And I knew that I had a big charge hanging over my head. I had a felony DUI.
Mm,
So yeah, I was looking at a lot of time. Like I did real well. About 4 months in, I went back to my sober home after group, and I like looked at the bed, and there was a letter on there, and like said, your charges have been enhanced. And I was, man, that was the first time I hit my knees, and I was like, God, look, I've been saying your name in this recovery center. Like, I've been holding hands with people. I've been saying the Lord's
Yeah.
Prayer. I know the Serenity Prayer. I give up. Like, whatever you want, whatever your will is, I will do it. And I think that's the first moment that humility actually found me.
Mm.
And from there, sort of I think God took over in that spiritual awakening, in that he had always been there. And my tragedy and my downfall was all part of the plan, so that I could come back and I could talk about this story with people and hopefully save them,
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. Can you back up a little bit? And you mentioned I mentioned in the bio, I think you basically died for 3 minutes. You were dead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you said that you had a spiritual experience in that moment. Can you talk about that and share a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah. Yeah. That was, I ended up going from like wherever I was, I had been blacked out. So it was difficult to understand, because I was in and out of it. I can still remember bits and pieces of the car crash, but I remember going into a space that was like, I describe it like a womb. It was just being held in a ball of golden white radiant light. It was wonderful.
Wow.
It was gorgeous. Like, you feel no pain. You no longer feel the sin you're attached to. You no longer feel the relationship problems. You no longer feel pain. All of it's gone. And it's like, I can't describe it, because it doesn't make sense to human beings. I can't verbalize what it was.
Did the soul feel free? Like the freedom, just freedom. And I love what you just said. Or I can't remember now how you said it, but I was detached from sin. That speaks. I don't know. That's huge to me, because I think there's so when we are able to find that relief in Christ and God, and not we love him more, and we understand he loves us more than that sin. Because the harder we try to stop doing something, usually the harder it is, and it just gets worse. But the feeling of being 100% detached from sin, that's crazy to me. And you felt that, or something like that. I
felt that. Oh, it was the most beautiful feeling ever. Wow. It's like Paul says in Romans, right? He says, wretched man that I am, right? Who will deliver me from this body of death? The flesh. We can't get away from it. And that's really what the enemy is, right? The enemy is attacking our, us with our flesh, the alcohol, society, the world, all of that. So I'm in this space and I don't feel any of that anymore. And I hear a voice, but you don't hear it. You just know it. It's so strange.
Whoa. Are you like floating? Are you?
Yeah. You're weightless. Weightless.
Okay.
And it's like no gravity. You're just like, everything feels good. And I hear this voice that says, do you want to stay or go? And I thought of my kids, and I didn't have to answer. It was just the thought of my children pushed me out of this and slammed me back into my body. And then it was just chaos, cutting my clothes off and, madness.
Dang. That is crazy, man. And so they took you to the hospital. You broke your back or your neck or both.
It was a wingtip vertebrae. So it was near my spinal cord. They said like an inch to the left, I would have been paralyzed from the neck down the rest of my life.
Damn.
So
grace. And so, yeah. Good point. So then you have to start a whole new recovery process from there. How long did that take?
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I didn't think about it. I was so messed up that when I went into recovery, all I did was have anxiety and smoke and walk. I had no car. I had sandals, flip-flops, a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, and a flip phone, because I had to get a new phone. It was broken. And I would just walk to AA meetings during the day. I didn't have a job, so I would walk like 20 miles a day. That was my whole thing in the Santa Ana sun in July. And I had tan lines on my feet for like a year after this. But I was anxiety ridden. And I talked about that night that I hit my knees about 4 months in. I had anxiety every morning. So I would wake up and I would be reaching for a cigarette. Like the second I woke, I had a neighbor, I say this often, like my roomie, who was like, you can reach out and touch him in a recovery center. And he had this awful rooster alarm clock that would go off at like 6 a.m. And when it went off that morning after I'd hit my knees and prayed, I didn't get up fast. I didn't reach for a cigarette, and I had zero anxiety. So anxiety was completely removed after that night. I never had it again. I haven't had it to this day.
Wow. I
Yeah.
think there's something to that. I think there's something to the fact of verbally asking God. Now, I'm not saying we say, God, please, I need $1 million. Give me $1 million. And the next morning, God's not a genie, right? But I
No.
think, and I know from my own experience, I have felt many times that I don't want to ask God for anything just because that's not what I'm going to do. But I have
Mm-hmm.
noticed there have been times out of desperation where I have asked God to please help. And maybe it doesn't look exactly what I thought it would look like, but it's worked out some way or another. And
Yeah.
I don't
There's a plan.
understand it. Yeah, there's a plan.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a plan. And I don't understand that. And I don't need to understand it, I guess, at this point. But what do you think about the difference between religion and a relationship with God?
I would call myself a Bible believing Christian.
Mm.
So I don't really subscribe to a specific denomination. I would say I'm more of a reformed conservative because am a Bible believing Christian. I would say
Yeah.
I'm so deep that I read like Martin Luther, I'll go for John MacArthur. I'm pretty deep in terms of the reformed theology. I'm not a Calvinist.
Yeah.
I don't know that I completely believe in cessation of, all of the gifts, or that I
Yeah.
believe, in the fact that that there's no process to our sanctification and who he chooses. There's different theologies that say, does God elect you and there's nothing you can do about it to lose that? Or do you kind of coincide with God at the right time and then you become elect and then you can do things that would, sacrifice your salvation? I wrestle
Sure.
with that question a lot. Um, but I do know that God does have a plan, and it's really important to pray when it's going great.
Sure.
That's what I think a lot of us, we use prayer as a mechanism to say, oh, my life's going rough right now. I just lost a girlfriend, or, I lost a job, things like that. And we're like, God, help me at those times. But prayer is a consistent thing, right? It has to happen in the morning when you wake, when things are going really well. You give thanks for the good as well as the bad, because we know that in the Bible, because I am a Bible believing Christian, that we rejoice in our tribulation, right? Knowing that tribulation, perseverance happens through the tribulation, and when we persevere through those difficult times, we build a new character, and that new character, it gives us hope. Like, it's given me
Yeah.
hope, and I haven't felt shame over my past life and the things that I've done because of being able to fight through the, wanting to use drugs, wanting to drink when things are
Yeah.
difficult. But because I haven't, over time, my character has changed.
And so do you feel like with that, um, you're growing into the authentic self, whatever that may be? And notice how I didn't say you became the authentic self, because I don't think that we ever arrive, but I think we're in process in it. But do you think that's a
Mhm.
fair thing to say?
I do. I believe it's difficult because the world is it's anti-Christ right now. You see, and a
Yeah.
lot of what we don't understand is that, and I don't, this is not to offend anyone. I have a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of great Muslim people. There's a lot of great people out there in the world that are kind people. But the fact is, everything that's happening in the world right now that we see in America, all of the attacks on people that are Christian, whatnot, this is all part of what happens in end times prophecy. I don't want to go too
Mm.
deep into that, but I also believe that in end times here, and I know this is a sobriety podcast, but
It's all
look,
good.
the fact is the end times, the um, Quran is essentially a direct reflection of what our revelation says in the Bible, right? So their Mahdi is going to come back and is going to destroy basically Christians. So we're seeing right now, kind of this wave of, this Muslim wave in places like Minnesota and things like that. That's not by accident, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe that we have to, find our identity. So my identity over that time period I didn't know Christ. I didn't understand that part of it. I think that's really hard for a lot of people to say, this guy was crucified. We know that to be a fact. That's documented, well documented. But he rose from the dead. Whoa, right?
Yeah.
It's a tough one for a lot of people. And that's where, our salvation is through faith alone. And I didn't understand that until I got divorced, and ended up meeting my current wife, who said, if we're going to have a relationship, it needs to be based around Christ. And I went, what is that?
Yeah.
I knew God because I was praying to God in recovery, right?
Yeah.
And so when Christ came into the picture, I had to really start diving into what that meant, because I loved this woman and I wanted to figure out, how we could make that work. She said, if we want our relationship to work in Orange County, California, which we lived in at the time, marriages don't last there. And I agreed. And so I think my identity was always moving toward, you asked the question about identity, and I don't remember exactly how you asked it, but my identity,
the authentic self too, the authentic self, like that's just to ring a bell. Yeah.
So I think that the more that you become more like Christ every day, is where the identity forms. And so I believe now, after all the research I've done, that 2,000 years ago, the verdict was settled. The enemy lost. And I believe he tempts a lot of people in the world. His whole job is to tempt you and torment you, and cause you to have condemnation. Like you're not good enough, right? You're never going to make it. You're going to drink again. Like when I was in rehab, I kept hearing like, what's the point? You're going to go to jail anyway. Like just get out of here and have a one last party.
Yep. It's funny, man. You just reminded me, like, when I first had told my wife I need some help, I can't do this anymore. That next morning, I just felt this like tremendous attack. You're fine. You got this. Don't be a pussy. Like that kind of stuff. Like you don't need to go get help. Like you're not as bad as that guy, whatever that looks like. And I also had the saying, I never say, I don't know that I've ever heard like an audible voice of God, but it was more just a feeling. And I had two feelings. And one was that something really bad was about to happen if I didn't make some changes. And the other one was that this deep feeling that God had something bigger for my life, and not just my life, but my family's life, my kids' life. And I think that maybe when you said that, the identity, describing that, maybe that was the time for me to go in that other direction. And I think a lot of people unfortunately miss that sometimes because maybe they're not open, or they don't know what God is or who God is, or they had a bad experience maybe as a kid with church or whatever it is. So here's what I'm getting at here. When you work with guys, how do you approach maybe a guy who has trouble with God or the word God or the belief in God? Any thoughts on that or feedback? Maybe someone listening out there is listening to this, go, hey, that's me. I don't really know. I'm not religious, but I maybe I have a feeling in my gut that there is something. I just don't know what it is or where to start.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think we have to look back at the beginning and say, did all this come from nothing? Really? It'd be very hard to believe that, wouldn't it?
Totally. The Big Bang Theory, is that kind of what that's the one way I...
What created the Big Bang? What created that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something bigger than that. I mean, I'm not John Lennox, but I can tell you that God has written his word into everyone's hearts. It is written into our soul. So there are people that are in the Amazon that have never, ever heard of God or the Bible, any of that.
Yeah.
But it's written on them, and they may pass away and still meet judgment and still say, welcome. You're still going to hear that because they didn't break some Mosaic law. They'd never sinned, right?
Yeah.
But I think you have to ask yourself, why? Why am I here? Where did all this come from? Did it come from nothing? Really? Is that true? Because I was an atheist, or kind of an agnostic, I guess you could call me in a way. I thought there maybe was some secret thing that I needed to unlock in order to understand, where I needed to be in my spiritual walk. I read Buddhism, Eckhart Tolle, anything I could get my hands on, which is all Satan will use. He's an angel of light. He's going to make things look appealing to you. So false religions always look appealing. They always do. That's good. They look beautiful, wonderful. This is going to give me, and for a while they may even fix things. But in Matthew, we do read very clearly that we can sweep our house clean, but unless we fill it, 7 more deadly demons will return to the host. And they're even more evil than the previous. So it just gets worse. And so we talk about a progressive disease. And when I read the Bible, I say, well, that sounds like what happened to me. I swept my house clean, but I didn't fill it. And when you said that night you felt something that morning, that's oftentimes an indwelling of the Holy Spirit. That's when that happens. And when that happens, the Holy Spirit groans with groanings too deep for us to even understand for our sin and what we do. It's there to guide us and to help us. I don't believe we see a red light that goes off and some sound that happens in an alarm when God is speaking to you.
Yeah.
Just I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not like a charismatic that way. I do believe that it's through the works and the fruit in your life when you're honest and you follow God and you pray and you live a life of, conviction. You're not afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, being open, and I really appreciate you being open. I can tell you're a bold guy, and you have your experience and your beliefs, and you're not afraid to share them. And I really appreciate that. It's really refreshing and nice. So number one, thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Number two, what is life like today for you? We've got into some of the past stuff. I'm pretty sure you qualified, broken neck, died.
Yeah.
Gosh, so much there. But what has God done for you? What has sobriety done for you? What are you doing today?
I was after recovery, and like I said, I met this woman. I married her, so God did that for me. He showed me what love really is. Here's what human love is, but more than that, I became a man, like really a man, because of God, because I had identity and I understood what I could stand on if bad things happen, and I was able to fight through it. Today, for me, life is very simple. I love the simple life. I used to need chaos in order to feel good. I used to need. I was making movies in Hollywood. It was.
What movies were you making in Hollywood?
Oh, I made a movie called Iowa that was a Tribeca, and I was auditioning for Star Wars, dude. I was doing huge things.
I didn't know that.
Dude, yeah. Awesome. I had a big agent in Hollywood. I was trying to I was looking for validation.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And not anymore.
To be
and
seen,
I feel
heard.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to impress people, and I wanted people to think that I was amazing and this guy's famous and he's rich.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do a lot of the things that Hollywood wanted me to do. There's a lot of moralistic concessions you have to make if you really want to be big in Hollywood. And I couldn't do that.
Do you care to talk about any of those?
Oh, I mean, it's very what you see in the news that people say is, maybe not true or doesn't really happen, does happen. All of it happens. Everything you read that is fake that they say doesn't happen. There's casting couches, there's deals that go on, there's relationships you're supposed to have, and they're all set up. And if you don't follow through on it, you typically don't make it because they want, you got to play the game.
I think that's a great way to put it. You got to play the game. And so in order to play the game, there's a lot of moral issues that you're probably going to have to overlook if you want to have quote unquote success. And that's just terrible. And the good news is I think that a lot of people are becoming very aware of that on what it is, even if you're not in the general circle, it's out there now, and it's in the open. I'm glad
I put it in my book, Okay. No, I put it in my book. I think I would have been destroyed if I had done it. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
times where I was offered roles and things that were big roles, would have been breakout star roles, but I would have had to have done things that I just couldn't do, and they were
Yeah.
depraved things.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you think
that
there's elements of people who can be successful in Hollywood and entertainment and not have to jeopardize, say, their beliefs or their morality? Are there limited cases of that that you've
boy,
seen or that you've heard of? Or
I'm sure
yeah,
there is a couple out there. I mean, there's guys that I don't know though. You see these guys like Billy Bob Thornton wrote Sling Blade. He did really well. It was amazing. Like, but then he's drinking Angelina Jolie's blood. It's like, what what are we talking about?
I
Like,
know.
are we satanic? Or are we? So in some way, I feel like there's always some
Yeah,
play.
there's
There's always
some.
something demonic in there, ritualistic, idling things that you shouldn't idle,
Yeah.
idol worship. It's what it is. I loved living there because California, LA was
Oh
great.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the time too, like late '90s, early 2000s. We were talking about that before we got on the
I was
call.
gonna
It was
say that
beautiful.
that was the key word you said was,
Was
and you're right.
was
It was beautiful. We spent a lot of time down in Huntington Beach and Newport
uh,
Beach, and one of my
yeah.
favorite spots. Like we have some great memories there.
Hmm.
But L.A. was L.A. a different story. '90s awesome. Yeah, not
Yeah,
not so much
different
anymore,
beast. But
unfortunately.
I
Yeah,
I do believe you that you're. I don't have the same feelings anymore about. There's no. I don't have that need for validation. I even have a hard
yeah,
time posting to social media a lot, even though I need
same.
to because I have a new app that I'm releasing that's a big deal, and I'm the founder and I'm supposed to do stuff. It's I have a hard time being in front of the camera and wanting to, unless it's about Christ, unless it's about professing my belief and helping others find that path and get on the narrow road. I have a
Yeah.
hard time selling stuff like that now.
I think
you
that's a
know.
good point. It's because I do too, and I just for the record too, same thing. I wanted to be in the music business growing up. I actually have quite a few friends who made it very big in the music business. They're great dudes, man, having great careers. That didn't work out for me, unfortunately. And so when I look back, just the way I grew up, a lot of it was seeking that validation, seeking
Mhm.
that want to be loved and liked and needed and heard too. And as I've gotten older and through this, and then but I started a podcast. I mean, come on, like there's some of
Yeah,
that in there too back in the day.
yeah,
But I think I have grown to a spot now, at least, where I don't need to be the guy anymore. I don't want to be the guy. I just want to have some fun. I want to help some people, and to your point, glorify God in all of it. I think that's the most important thing, and that at least helps me a little bit. Like when I am in front of the camera or
amen.
speaking or whatever, it's like everything comes back to God because I obviously didn't do this. I don't know how the heck I got here some days, but it wasn't on my own doing. That's for sure. So
No,
anyway,
but
sorry. Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
because you went there. You did the work and you gave your will and life over. And you said, whatever your
Yes.
will is, I want to do it. Instead of thinking of you, you started this from a place of I'm thinking of others because I want to help them have the life that I have now because I know it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Yep.
there's
And
that
it's
dark
great.
road, that dark tunnel, man. You've been in that tunnel where you're looking down. I'm sure you've been there. Like there's no
Oh
light at the
man.
end of that tunnel. You're like, I'm dead. Like this is over. My life's
Yeah.
done. And there's
And then
that little bit. If you just stick in it for a little while, people, it just the light just gets bigger and bigger and
yeah.
bigger and bigger until you're living a completely different life, one you never would have imagined that you could be living.
Yeah. I think you just described like I don't it's in Isaiah. I don't know if it's 11:9 somewhere around there, but those who've walked through darkness have seen a great light. Like this is such a beautiful I always relate to that because it's like, man, that was like
I got the Bible right here,
where
man.
I
I can
was
tell you.
at. Yeah. I think it's 9 I don't know. I can't remember.
You know, Isaiah is
Somewhere in there.
one of the great prophets. I mean, that's one of the people that has the most symbolism and to the.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the gospel, one of the Old Testament chapters that has the most
The
correlation to the New
OG.
Testament and the prophecy
Yeah.
of Christ and the Christophanies. There's probably a couple Christophanies in there, but it's amazing to be where I'm at now with this woman, with my children, having a solid relationship again. That's all not has nothing to do with me. It's just that
Yeah.
I submitted my will and I said that night, "It's all you. Whatever you want to do. You want to kill me right now? Strike me dead.
Mm.
I accept." You know, and I
Submission.
believe. Yeah, I think that's a powerful prayer. Is just to say I'm done. Like I'm done
Hmm.
trying I think a lot of us try really way too hard to be something or prove something. And I certainly did. And it got me nowhere.
Yeah.
I think you said it perfectly just a second ago. What did you say? You said it was about glorifying God. We do the things in our life to glorify God. And in return, God gives us grace and fills our lives with, peace.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one thing, the peace. I mean, we all have bad days, but at the end of the day, I know this life is short, and that's probably one of the biggest struggles that I struggled with, was that battle between flesh and spirit. And like, I still do, it's a tough one. I just don't know how anybody can do this life without some sort of belief in something higher.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to sin, like we're all going to fall, dude. Like we're fallen from the beginning. We all are fallen beings, but it's about how you get back up that matters, right? It's conviction says, get back up and keep fighting. If you let condemnation take over, it's going to shame you. I often say that the enemy has a cycle, and that cycle is tempt you, right? Do this thing. Come on, just one more time. No big deal. And then you isolate yourself. And then when you isolate, all of a sudden you do the thing that he tempted you to do, and then he shames you. So the very enemy that tempted you to do it then says, how could you? That's awful.
That's
like
that's some tricky stuff right there. Just when you said that, I'm like, man, I'm confused.
Well, that's his point, is to confuse you. Yeah, he's shaming you for the very thing that he tempted you to do, but we don't recognize that that's not God. That's not God's voice. So we have to get back up.
So can I ask you a question on back to the identity thing real quick?
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on, and this isn't a gotcha question at all. I actually just did a podcast on this a couple of weeks ago on using the term alcoholic. I don't refer to myself like that anymore. At one time I did, and it helped me. So I do think there's benefits to it, but through my own process, my own connection to God, my own growth, like I still struggle with alcohol, no doubt, but I don't identify with that label. What's your thought on labels? Are they self-deprecating? Are they purposeful? Like any feedback, thoughts on that?
Sure. And I would totally tell you if I didn't have any thought on it at all, but I do. When I was in recovery, I found it it was cathartic, but it was also I think it was healing to say I'm an alcoholic. I think the reason why Alcoholics Anonymous works in the beginning is because, as I said, it's the disease. I don't call it a disease. It's the spiritual malady that whispers in your ear, which we now know the spiritual malady is actually the enemy. Whispering in your ear, you can do it one more time. And when you remind yourself, I'm an alcoholic, I can't do it, you're identifying. And when you don't have an identity and you've been crushed, as I was, at rock bottom, like I wasn't ready to say my identity is Christ. I am a Christian. I believe that Christ died on the cross for my sins, was resurrected, and that he is God. Okay. I didn't have that. So at least I'm an alcoholic, and this is going to keep me from drinking today until I can find that spiritual awakening.
There's some acceptance in that, like in some like submission in a sense.
Yeah. There's some good in that label, I think. I don't say it anymore either. I don't say I'm an alcoholic because I don't identify myself that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I had said on the last podcast. It's like, I don't say it because I don't want to identify with the worst version of myself. Like, I just don't, it's not me anymore,
No, I know I'm still depraved. I know I can still be depraved.
Absolutely.
I know I can still do terrible things. it doesn't mean, because I don't say I'm an alcoholic, that doesn't mean I don't recognize who I was and what I'm capable of doing as a sinful human being. I do.
And I'm glad you said that, because I think that's important to point out too. It's not like, oh, I don't say I'm not an alcoholic. Like, I have it figured out, I'm perfect, anything like that. There has to still be some big self-awareness in the fact that, like, I'm still jacked up and still have bad thinking and bad decisions sometimes and say stupid things sometimes. Like, all those, I mean, they're there. They're not going away. But it's just
never.
the self-identifying, in that label, it just never felt right to me. But at the same time, it was purposeful for the first couple of years. So I know that's a
Yeah.
big topic for some people, and so I just think it's interesting to get different takes on it.
My recovery counselor, Tom, he was awesome, dude. He was like old school heroin addict,
Oh,
alcoholic,
dang.
didn't have the use of one of his arms, because he had done so much. Sober 30 years, probably 67, probably 68 to 70 years old. And he was awesome. He sat me down and he just said, look, you got this thing. We'll call it what it is. But it's never going to stop until they're shoveling dirt in your face.
Yeah.
And that, I believe that. I really believe that is, no, of course not. It's always going to be there. I can never fix that on my own. I can only fight every single day with the sword of the Spirit, with the gospel, with Christ, and I will win because he's already defeated the enemy. I know that, and that's what I stand on.
Love it. What's a hard truth that men maybe need to hear about getting sober, making changes in their life, recovery?
You're going to have to give up a lot. You're going to have to stop the friends and the people and the places and things. You're going to have to change a lot. And that's painful because we don't want to change the best friend we've had for 20 years, but they're totally toxic.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hurts. Family
That was,
sometimes even.
Oh, dude, that's a tough one too. Close friends, family, like, yeah. And it doesn't have to be forever, but it might need to be for a while until you can
get well.
Exactly.
And you can handle it without, letting it affect you to the point that you want to go and use a drug or a drink.
Yeah.
I couldn't be around my ex who was having the affair when I went into recovery. They took her away. They're like 30 days separation. And I went from feeling totally lost and needing her with this codependency to, starting to feel comfortable in the recovery center. Like I hated it at first, but then it became, I was so mad that I had to leave, that I had to like not talk to her and I had to be separated and I had to be in this recovery house. But after 30 days, it started to feel like a protective environment.
Oh yeah.
It was the way it changed was amazing. I didn't even want to leave. Like by the time it was time to leave 6 months later, I stayed there for 6 months. I didn't feel comfortable even leaving because I knew this was my pattern. Like I knew what I was doing there and I was protected and I had accountability. And now I was going out into the world without it. And that was difficult.
Did you feel like you had found some purpose in that time there too? I mean, 6 months is a while to be there locked in.
It is.
Did you feel, well, let me ask this. Did you feel excited at least somewhat to go out into the world and see what where that purpose led you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was excited, but I had to go and get my case handled. So I had to be sentenced and I pled guilty to the charge. And I'll tell you, I didn't know what I was going to say when the judge called on me. What do you have to say for yourself? Right? And I just got up and I swear the Holy Spirit came into me and I just said, Your Honor, I did this thing on July 14th in 2014. The people that were involved didn't deserve it. I'm totally guilty of this thing. And whatever you deem to sentence me with, I accept 100%. And he just looked at me and said, time served for 6 months in recovery, no jail time. And they took my license for a year. They did all those things that they normally would do. But I didn't care. I didn't feel any shame. Like God he removed that. And I was able to work through everything. Like I did everything they asked. I never drove. I rode my bike everywhere. I just persevered through this really difficult time.
Yeah.
And it was very surreal the way that I went through it. I felt like I was a different person, a transformed person, a renewed mind, a regenerating heart. It really does work that way. Even though I was at my lowest, I mean, here I am, a guy that's got no car. I have a felony now. I'm on formal probation. It was awful, but I felt better than I ever had. It was so strange.
Yeah, it is strange because the irony in that, I mean, you're riding a bike, you don't have a car, you have no license, like you said, but you're free. Like you're free from the weight. One thing I find interesting about the judge, what you said is you didn't make any excuses, and I'm sure the judge saw that, and he saw that you were taking responsibility.
Totally.
What's one excuse that you hear often that keeps a lot of guys stuck?
A lot of guys feel that condemnation I talked about. I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. I can't do this. That they have this voice that tells them that they are not worthy of the love.
Yep.
And that therefore they fall often because they listen to that lie. But God loves you. He loves his creation. He loves you like intimately. And that's what they miss on. There's a guy that had horrible abuse in his life that I coached a little bit, and I don't do as much coaching now as I do the development of this app that I'm doing, but he had been abused. He had a lot of problems. And what he didn't realize is that all the tribulation that he had gone through had actually built this really powerful character that he had, but he didn't see himself that way. He was blinded to the fact that he was really a survivor and that his testimony was something that had been given to him to share. And I think a lot of us we believe the lie. We believe the lie that we're not good enough, or, there's no reason for us. We're never going to have the right woman. We're never going to have the right job. It's always that's the excuses that I hear the most is I'm not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big one. I think a lot of dudes struggle with that. I know I have, I know I do sometimes, even still. But I do come back to like you said, like lie is the greatest thing. It's a lie. It's not true. We can get stuck in those patterns sometimes. And that's why we have community and friends and people surround us to try to help, hopefully, speak some sense into us and say, hey, that's not
lift
true.
you up a bit.
Lift you up.
And you have to believe it.
You. Yeah.
You got to believe it. Like you got to believe it in your heart and make that change and never let go of that belief. Because it's only going to come from you. Nobody's going to come in and pick you up and take care of you and do everything you need done to change your belief in yourself.
Yeah.
It comes from discipline and hard work, and emotion loses every single time. Emotion does not sustain. It rises and falls with, the latest victory or the latest failure, and discipline wins. When you don't feel like working out in the morning, go do it anyway. That kind of thing really does stick, man. It's what changes. It's the character that builds a leader. It's discipline driven. It has nothing to do with emotion.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
Agreed. Tell us about your app. What's going on with the app? What is it?
Dude, I made this app called Armor Up, man. I've been working on it for like a year and a half. It's wild. Nice. It's this app, Armor Up, and it is a spiritual.
That. Oh, that's sick. I like the.
Yeah, it's a spiritual discipleship tool. So like say you're battling lust, or you're battling fear, or you're battling addiction, or you're battling pride, loneliness. This gives you the tools to fight back when that enemy comes knocking, and so we've got a community in there that we just launched. We're launching it actually launches in about a week, where a lot of warriors are in there. We've got about 300 people already added testimonials, daily devotionals. You got all your daily shields every day that you get it in the morning, afternoon, and evening. There's an I'm about to fall mechanism where if you feel like you're about to fall to, say, pornography or lust or something like that, you would click I'm about to fall, get a prayer, get a war cry, which will generate scripture that you would need to fight that battle, like that exact battle.
Great.
You've dialed in scripture that is specific to the issue you may be having. It tracks your time you've been, fall free, meaning I haven't had a sort of a relapse, but from an anxiety or fear or those things. So you're overcoming these spiritual battles, and it has an armor system built in where if you're in the app and you're using it, your armor does grow a little stronger. And then as you stay away from the app, it will begin to crack.
Oh, nice. I see. That's crazy.
It reminds you
on that.
Because, a lot of dudes, like men and women are using it. Women too. I was surprised. But men, we're visual, we need to see that cracking on there and go, maybe we need to get back into God's word,
Oh yeah. It's easy to do, life gets going. And then, I'll find myself, it's like, man, why am I feeling this way right now? Like, why am I, irritated? And it's like, oh man, I really haven't like prayed or talked to God in a week. Like a week
Yeah.
can go by, you know what I mean? And it's like, whoa,
Hmm.
yeah, okay. So I
Hmm.
can tell the difference. And I think having that resource there, and you said there's a community component to it as well.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I hired this company called Octopus in France, and they build the best communities online. We've got about 4 different groups in there to help people. It's a prayer wall, a warrior room where you can talk about what you're going through, a
Nice.
command center where we're giving out, discipline. And if somebody has a deep theological question, it will be answered and that kind of thing. So you got like your engage armor. So you can like engage your armor. You can be like, what am I facing right now? Like I'm facing
Oh,
lust or
wow.
fear or shame, right? So say I'm facing like addiction right now. It'll pull up a verse that is important for you to read related to addiction. You would play, you know, the declaration you should say to
Yeah.
break that, and then you declare victory over that. It seems to help a lot of these users overcome these spiritual issues. You're going to fall, there's no question, but we're seeing a really crazy amount of users in there for like an hour and a half on the app, like power users,
Dang.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I'm a creative musician also, I think I mentioned that before, but my mind's always going, especially in the entrepreneur spirit. So like,
Yeah.
as you're telling me this, I'm
Hmm.
wondering, do you see components of this um, connecting to like live style meetings at some point, like groups or
Yeah, I would
anything? Like, is that,
love that. Hmm.
because I could see that. I could see having that app like that as that's the center, but you're also having maybe chapters or something, different chapters all over the place of people who meet up and have meetings. And, I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing spitballing or whatever, but
Great
that's
ideas.
cool.
You're like me. Like you probably have 100 different ideas a day.
Oh,
So do
dude.
I.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I have to discipline myself. Like, no, just this one thing.
It's
Stop.
really hard to do that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Especially for us addicts. We're like ADD about everything. Like, we can do this. We can do that. We get really
totally.
excited about it. That's why I mentioned discipline. But I have been disciplined about creating this app for people because I know they need the help. And
Yeah,
I believe there could be a community out there. So like from the community, I might branch out into, say, a school program where people can
yeah.
get to
That's
be taught,
huge.
or something like that. And then also chapters, different armor up branches of
Totally.
communities out there that could meet, and we could do retreats would be
Yep.
amazing.
That would be awesome.
Prayer.
It's golf retreats.
Oh, that would sell a lot of men, wouldn't it?
I think
Like, yeah,
so. I
out
think
there
it
like,
would actually be really
honey,
cool.
it's for my addiction, honey.
I'm going to come back a 10 times better version of myself after I play 4 rounds
Exactly.
at Pebble Beach. That's funny, man. So the
Yeah.
app is live though, right? It's live right now, or
Yeah.
are you
I would say give it like a week and a half. We're launching a new one like on the 15th. It's a
okay?
totally different app. I did a little beta where I did beta testing with an app that was a really scaled down MVP version of it. Very viable, minimum viable product, and it did very well. We
Yeah,
have a lot of users. We had 3,000 people download it, and a lot of people
awesome.
using it. So but this is going to be a bigger deal. The new one is like legit track your time. The battle chaplain in it communicates with you daily. So like this
Oh,
battle
cool.
chaplain in there is going to be like talking to you and giving you stats all the time. So it's like the
Awesome.
main feed here is just like talking to you, giving you, gospel inspiration, and then asking you, what are you struggling with? What's going on? Let's talk about it, right? It's not
Yeah.
AI either. We built like 30,000 messages from some of the best
Wow.
pastors and, content in the world that I could come across. One element is AI. It's called War Cry, and it does generate with guardrails a scripture that you would need for the battle, a war cry, a prayer, and then it gives you different verses to read in our in-app Bible, and it allows you to read that 3 times. But everything else is it's not AI. It's like
Yeah.
actually built to help you,
So
without
cool.
using artificial intelligence, which I felt was important.
Oh, totally. I would
Mhm.
agree. I mean, and I do think there's a purpose for it. It's helpful in some situations, but like let's for instance, if I'm scrolling on something or I'm looking on social media and I can obviously tell something's AI, I don't want to watch that. I don't buy it. I'm not
Yeah.
into it. It doesn't feel authentic to me. I get all these posts, start a faceless, nameless YouTube channel and you're going to get 1 million views and this, and you're going to use AI and this and that and Claude and all this crap. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. And I guess if people are making money that way, I don't know. It just seems really stupid to me.
They're using that as, they're serving that master of money, and they're saying you can make a lot of money if you do this. And it's like, well,
Totally.
I'm beyond that now. But I do like AI I do like
Sure.
AI. I mean, I use it all the time to help me write stuff and create
Same.
things, but and especially for systems, anything that we're doing in the app, especially coding. Claude is amazing at coding.
Absolutely.
But would I use it to give people specific advice about what they should read and what they should hear? No, I'm going to use the best pastors of all time for that.
Yeah, I love that. That's huge. And you're right. It's purposeful. We got to use it, not let it use us. So,
Yeah.
So with that, I just have one more quick question for you, and then we'll wrap this up. I appreciate your time today too, man. It's been a great call.
Oh man, hey, I
Seriously, bro.
appreciate
I
you.
hope to do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're coming on my show, so.
I am. Yes, I'm super pumped about that. Just in a couple weeks, so really, really excited. Thanks for that invite, and looking forward to that. Okay, you have 1 minute with a dude who's been sober for, I don't know, let's say like 10 years, and he's secretly miserable. He's white knuckling it. What do you tell him?
I might tell him what my shrink told me when I went into recovery the first time. She said, "It's a shame you didn't just drink." And I was shocked. She said, "Because at least you would have hit a bottom a lot sooner than waiting 11 years.
That's hard right there.
She was tough. She was
That is
tough.
hard.
But I would say, I think that you need to really, I'd say you're going to hit a bottom. So you may as well just
Yeah.
do it right now. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's already
Just
back.
prolonging it.
You're just prolonging it. So you need to wake up. Like, I can't do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you. But there's a moment you have to sit down with yourself and really ask yourself, am I happy? And why am I unhappy? And try to answer that question honestly. And it's not easy to answer. And the answer may be, you need to find yourself a bottom. It's unfortunate, but that really is the best time for people like you and me and all of us to actually say, I'm willing to try now.
Yeah.
Crazy, but that's how it works.
You got to be desperate, I think, in a lot of cases, because that surrender piece is tough. That's funny that as you said, shrink. Shrink reminded me, the reason I laugh when you said that's because it reminded me of the movie What About Bob, one of my favorite movies. Dr. Leo Marvin.
Great movie.
Shrink in that at some point. Yeah. One of the best.
They hated each other on that set.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
The reason why it's so good is because Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray hated each other.
No way.
Like with a passion, couldn't stand each other.
See, now I'm going to have to go back and watch it, and knowing that, it adds a little bit of a different surprise to it, I feel like. This is a great
Look that
movie.
Up on YouTube. Yeah, Dreyfuss talks about how much you can't stand him.
Oh, so there's a couple clips of it on there. You can go see a little.
Oh, there's clips of them talking about how they despise each other.
Great, man. Definitely checking that one out.
Anyway, terrible answer. I mean, I would say that to someone. I would say, hey, I hate to say this to you, but I think you're going to have to hit a bottom because, you're going to have to relapse or hit a bottom or do something because you're not going to snap out of this until something big happens, the big event.
And I don't think that we have to wait for that at the same time because we have that choice, right? That's not what you're saying. Like, oh, you're going to go do that, but it's like, you don't have to, but there's a good chance it might if you don't do something.
Yeah, that's what I would say is there's a good chance you're going to hit a bottom. Your life's going to end up like mine did real soon if you don't stop and start to find something that is going to change. And then I'd say, do you know my good friend Jesus Christ?
Amen. Where can folks reach out to you, Matt? Where can they find you? I'll put the link to the app in the show notes as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm on social media. Matt Farnsworth. You just look me up, you can find it. My website's mattfarnsworth.net. My book is The Comeback Blueprint. Yeah, it's there. You can find it on Amazon. Just type that in, The Comeback Blueprint. I put my picture on it. Didn't used to have it on there, but I put it on there so people would recognize that's the one. There's a couple of comeback blueprints on there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good, man. Yeah, I like the cover. It's looking good.
Thanks, dude.
Yep. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on today. I'm excited to come on your show. Thanks so much for coming on again, man. Appreciate you.